My name is Robert Christopher Wayne Weathers. I live at 3102 Center Hill Road, Acre, Mississippi, 38841. I am still under attack by Scientology. So let me explain what Scientology is. There are more than three dimensions. This is a fact. There are 12 dimensions in total. We have biology in these extra dimensions. 12 dimensions worth of biology you can't see while you are alive. We utilize this biology to have an afterlife. The human genome produces a 12-dimensional humanoid designed to live in outer space. We can fly. We can move particles around with our mind. We have short arms and big hands. We have a whole plethora of extra-dimensional organs and tissues and body parts that you can't see while you are alive. 12 dimensions worth. The human genome produces an Anunnaki. We are horned beings that live in outer space. That is the human bloodline and the human afterlife experience. Scientology is the practice of removing this extra dimensional biology from themselves before they die. They do this while they are still alive, and they use technology and techniques to turn them into upper dimensional vehicles, biologies that can be driven to the upper dimensions, aliens. And they look alien in appearance. And these aliens are remote controlled. So there's a group of people on Earth driving their aliens onto my location at this moment, and they are using these aliens to harm me and my family. They have also installed technology in my brain that allows me to hear their voices. They are hostile, demeaning. They keep threatening me. They keep trying to come up with some false narrative which says that I've done something wrong. They victim shame me. They blame me for what's happening to me, and they are premeditating my death. So they are also using this technology to steal intellectual property. I'm an author. I write in my spare time. I'm part Native American. My Native American name is Crazy Bird. I wrote Crazy Bird Comics, which is Crazy Bird, Thunder Beings, Buffalo Bob. I wrote the Environment Creation Agency, which is a government agency that replaces the Federal Reserve with the Science Council. It approves the spending of another one of my inventions, Buffalo Dollars, or Divine Currency. I wrote Alien Bob, Space Bob, Bug Bob, which is about helping life on Earth evolve into a spacefaring species. It's about helping life on Earth colonize space and other planets. I wrote Jewel Craft, which is about crafting magical gems to make tools and weapons. It's an alien. It's an elf and dwarf type story. And also, there is this entanglement property. So we are made out of 12-dimensional particles. The particles we consist of have 12 dimensions, and the electron shell travels around all 12 dimensions. And you can't remove energy from the particles. The particle will be destroyed. So what happens is, as they remove body parts from people, as the body parts leave, the space time in between you and this removed body part shrinks to zero. It's like it gets out of the way. It warps and conforms to ensure the energy never leaves the particle. So it's as if these body parts never leave you. Only from their perspective is there a gap. However, in between this gap, they call it entropy. Particles travel back and forth in between this gap from their perspective. Particles trying to keep up with. There is a gap on some part of the universe. They call it the dark side or the inverse or the nether. However, our third dimensional selves still have to deal with this entanglement property. So they have my extra dimensional biology in their possession. Some of it they're using for transplants. They're using it for transplants in their alien forms, especially brain tissue. Some of it they're using for surrogate purposes. So this technology gives them the ability to drive other organisms that are not their own. They can drive humans, animals, insects, and worms in any dimension. So they are turning my extra dimensions into a surrogate, a little biology which can be driven around in the same manner that they drive their alien forms. And the parts that they're not using for transplants or surrogate making purposes, they're using to torture me. So they have parts of my biology in their possession, and they're doing things to to my biologies, like filling it full of parasites, worms with teeth, uh, foreign objects, torture devices. And I have to deal with it. I have to suffer the pain and the agony and the sickness that this practice brings. And they are doing things to it like putting it in acid, locking it out of entropy, or dropping it in a hole in space time, which is putting it somewhere where you can't get to anymore, which makes it inaccessible so they can't retrieve the biology and undo the damage that has been done to it or remove the parasites. So these parasites, these people call this technology war tech. Parasites driven, parasitic surrogates driven through the human body and used as a weapon. So they are driving parasites through my body and using them as a weapon. It's why they covet my body parts so much. First, they tried to put my intelligence on another human being. They tried to take brain tissue out of my head and use it as a transplant for their alien forms. They tried to somehow access my neural tissue to somehow gain my intelligence, my ability to create and write literature. That's how it started. Then it turned into surrogate making and a snuff film, torture devices. They're using my extra dimensional biology as a voodoo doll, so to speak, torture device. I am sick. I'm dizzy. I'm weak. I have brain fog. And for the last 13 years, I have witnessed Scientology do this to countless people. They take surrogates from the public and from the government, anybody they are interested in. If you have a job position, such as a CIA member, a FBI agent, or a politician, or a big business owner, they take surrogates. And if you don't comply, they kill you, or they make your life a living hell. Oh, they're doing that to me with worms. So these people, they call themselves having companies, and the companies' names are Preservision, Yumas, and the Lizard Company. These are the companies in outer space and the upper dimensions that are doing this to me. So this all started for me over 13 years ago. They found me on social media. I was a political activist and an author. I write literature a lot. I participate in politics. I had a large following. I persuaded a lot of people to vote certain ways on certain laws. I debated a lot in politics and religion and environmental issues. And some Scientologists decided to install technology in my brain. Then the government came and installed hive mind technology. I started hearing voices and seeing things. But people in the hive were hostile. They started berating me over religious debates that I've had on social media because I'm agnostic, atheist. They started berating me because I didn't believe a God existed. Then a lot of these people are hostile. There was conflict right from the beginning. So they turned off the hive mind technology but left it one way. I couldn't hear them anymore. However, they could hear me and read my thoughts. It became apparent because people in the world it became apparent that they were invading my privacy because they started stealing my ideas, the science that I was studying, the philosophy, my works of literature. They started using my ideas and my works in their own works. Then about 5 years ago, they turned on the hive mind technology again, and they started stealing body parts. They started out with brain tissue, then they kept going. They took everything. So I'm on life support now, and they have removed over 90% of my biology, my extra dimensional biology. They're using it for transplant, surrogate making, and for torture devices. They are premeditating my death. They're going to torture me to death. And then steal my intellectual property. They do the same thing to my family, my animals, and other family members. And there has been 2 strange deaths in the family since this all started. I came in contact with 2 family members on 2 separate occasions, and then shortly after that, within a week or 2, they died. Organ failure. I hear their voices constantly. They don't let me sleep. So they have to repair my brain on some level to allow me to sleep. They have to put a piece of brain tissue back in my head that allows me to sleep again. And they wake me up violently by removing this brain tissue, and then they do something like assault me with a worm, or they make my dog itch uncontrollably. They wake us all up, and then they turn on their controls or their computer system, and they all get rowdy, and they start harassing me early in the morning, every single morning. They don't allow me to sleep. They don't want me to feel pleasure in any way, whether it's sleeping or whether it's taking a drug. They will assault me so these things don't happen. I am sick. I've contacted every government agency there is, the CIA, the FBI, the military, the local police. I filed police reports. They had me full of worms, foreign objects, and torture devices, and technology. And they're lying and saying that they're reading my mind for other reasons. They're saying I'm a criminal, that they have a right to read my thoughts. However, they are stealing intellectual property. They read my thoughts so they can steal intellectual property. And then they assault me and try to get me to have bad thoughts. So they use members of the military, people dressed up like the military and police officers, and they assault me and my family with them and my animals. And they try to get me to have thoughts of defending myself against these people. So they can use this as like he's thinking about going after the military, going after the police, which is it's just a knee jerk reaction whenever these people, the police and the military, are assaulting you and your family to death and harassing you. I think this was done on purpose to try to get me to have bad thoughts.